a matchup so bad, it became good. So bad, it became good. That's right. If something's so terrible, eventually it becomes good. So if you saw this game, chances are you did not watch this game. Why would you? Unless you're a Bronco or a Bears fan, you probably missed it. Justin Fields passed for a career-high 335 yards and 4 touchdowns, but still found a way to F the game up in the end, living up to his reputation because he had a fumble return for a touchdown and also threw an interception on Chicago's final drive of the game. 31-28, the Denver Broncos come from behind. The Bears led this game 28-7 with 4 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock. They were up by 3 touchdowns, and then, that was in the third quarter, they had to play the rest of the game. How did that turn out? Well, don't ask. Don't ask. Now, Coach Matt Eberflus, he's the head coach. You don't need to learn his name because it's a hard name to pronounce, and he's in Chicago, so he won't be there for very long, you would assume. Matt Eberflus decided to go for it. Big call here in this game. It was a 4th down play, 4th and 1 from the Denver 18-yard line with 2:57 left. At that point, the game was tied. So at that point, if you're the coach of the Bears, you make the call. Do you kick the field goal, assume you're going to make the field goal, and have a 3-point lead and trust your defense? Or do you keep the ball on offense and try to go for it, try to get the first down, keep the ball away from the Denver Broncos, eat more clock, and possibly win the game that way? Well, the coach of the Chicago Bears said, you know what I'm going to do? I like the offense. I like the way we're running the ball, so I'm going to hand the ball off to Khalil Herbert. And he was stuffed. He was stuffed like pasta. Right there. He was absolutely stuffed. And the Bears turned it over on down. So the Broncos then marched down. They went on a 5-play, 48-yard drive for the game-winning Will Lutz. Not a klutz. He's Will Lutz. And he kicked the game-winning field goal. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. So the Broncos get off the schneid, and they are victorious. Matt Eberflus, the head coach of the Bears, bizarrely praising his team's passion after the game. Was very, very odd, including the quarterback here, just to prove that we're not lying. Here's the coach of the Chicago Bears here, who was very happy with his starting quarterback. Take a listen.
I thought the guys did a really good job. You talk about, Justin Fields' play. I mean, he really got into the flow. I thought the plan was excellent. I thought the guys did a good job of executing that. And, we distributed the ball to the skill. I thought we did a nice job of running the football.
Yeah. So he was full of praise there. Matt Eberflus said really good in spots, big improvement.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, had a lot of good moments in there.
Blah, 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 blah.
All right. Let's discuss the question, does Matt Eberflus deserve to keep his job as coach of the Chicago Bears? So I don't own the Bears, but if I did, the answer would be no. The answer would be no. I'm shaking my head no. I've got Governor Lagoon and eminent domain, and we will combine all of these things together. And we are going to make a victory, something that the Chicago Bears have not had in some time. 14 straight stinkers for the Chicago Bears, 14 in a row, and their defense is doing things that have never been done, ever, in the history of the NFL. So, first of all, it is not a question of whether the Bears coach is going to be fired. It's a matter of timing. Now, the Chicago Bears have this thing where they've never fired a head coach during the season. They just don't do that. That's not how they operate. The McCaskey family, the group that's in charge running the Bears day to day, they just don't operate that way. But under any measurement that we use, every man, woman, and child knows that Matt Eberflus blows as a head coach. He's not doing the job. And so you blew a 21-point lead at home against a team that gave up 70 points and 700-plus yards of offense last week, and this is a step in the right direction. That's the Chicago Bears? My fat ass, that's the Chicago Bears. That should not be the standard, right? And the head coach, Matt Eberflus, has been proven to be overmatched on the sidelines. Listen, I don't know the guy. Maybe he's a nice guy. I want to have a beer with him, but he can't coach. All right? And this guy has become the governor of Loserville. That is what the head coach of the Bears is right now. He's the governor of Loserville. This guy was hired as a defensive guru out of Indianapolis. Does anyone see a defensive guru when they watch the Chicago Bears? The Bears, his record in Chicago, 3-18 now. That is, it works out, my computer-like brain tells me, to a 143 winning percentage. Matt Eberflus in Chicago. The Bears, by the way, the first team in the history of the NFL to allow 25 or more points in 14 consecutive games. There have been bad defenses. There has never been a defense consistently as dreadful as the Chicago Bears, the old monsters of the Midway. You can't say that. Yeah, I haven't been able to say that for years, probably going back to like the 1940s. But man alive. Now, secondly, we're going to go thumbs up or thumbs down, thumbs up or thumbs down on Justin Fields turning the corner. Is he now out of the doghouse? Arf, arf, arf. Is he out of the doghouse there in Chicago based on a statistically dominant performance for the Bears? So the answer on that is thumbs down. I'm going thumbs down on this. That is the reality here. Now, Fields, I've got a graph here. On my graph, Justin Fields is still sinking into the lagoon of disaster. You don't want to be in the lagoon of disaster, but that is where Justin Fields is. Right? It's the tale of two halves. It's like poetry. Mr. Perfect against the Broncos defense for 30 minutes. Right? 30 minutes, Justin Fields was wonderful. You're like, what the heck happened? Where's this guy been? It's like he's back at Ohio State and they're playing Iowa or something like that. It's like, come on now. But with the game in the balance, what happened to Justin Fields? He became frazzled. Frazzled. And if you look at the numbers in the second half, Justin Fields was bad. How bad was he? Well, you look at the numbers, had 104 yards passing in the second half, averaged less than 6 yards per pass attempt in the second half, 1 touchdown, 1 back-breaking interception, 1 back-breaking fumble, and his quarterback rating in the second half was 77.0. That's the same guy it had been. So for half a game against the Broncos, Justin Fields was running around like a peacock with his feathers out. And then in the second half, that's the guy we knew. That's the guy we've seen there, Justin Fields. So to answer the question again, is he out of the doghouse? Has he turned the corner? No, he turned the corner, and he fell off the cliff when the game mattered there. He became the ragamuffin under center there down the stretch. And so Chicago, not only do they not have a head coach, they still don't have a quarterback. But other than that, the pizza's really, really good. Right? The pizza's really, really good in Chicago. All right, final thought. Let's go to Houston. And Houston, we don't have a problem, but the opponent has a problem there. That's where the Steelers did the unthinkable, the unimaginable, the unforgivable. The Pittsburgh Steelers, as a small road favorite, went into Houston and did something that no one's done forever, lost a game to the Texans. It had been a given. You show up, it's like knocking on that really nice neighbor in your house's neighborhood, and you knock on the door on Halloween, you get a big bag of candy. Oh, you little kids. You show up to Houston, and you put a mild amount of effort in there, and boom, you end up getting a victory. But not the Steelers, as they lost to rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud. The Texans win this game 30-6. Wasn't even close. A despicable performance for the Pittsburgh football team. Now, Mike Tomlin announced after the game that they're going to make some changes. He said, hell yeah, we've got to make some changes after only getting a couple of field goals in this game. So, with that said, what will Mike Tomlin do? What can Mike Tomlin do to shake it up, as Scott Farrell said back in the day there, shake it up for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense? Now, just to prove I'm not making this up, here is Mike Tomlin in his own words describing what I just said about the Pittsburgh offense and the issues they are having. So let's go to the audio tape.
Will you contemplate any changes, or is it still too early?
Hell yeah, we got to make some changes, man. That was
that was an ugly product we put out there today. And so we're not going to do the same things and hope for a different outcome. What those changes are, man, we'll put together a plan in preparation.
So the Steeler fans were not fat and sassy after that game.
We want them to be fat and sassy.
No, they were not, Mike. They were not fat and sassy. They were depressed. They were crying in their terrible towels is what they were doing after that. So what can he do? Let's get back to the question. What can Mike Tomlin do here? So we got a limited amount of time. But here's my first piece of advice. Since you're not going to fire Matt Canada, just what's the kind way of saying this? If you're not going to fire your offensive coordinator, take his balls away. Don't allow him to call the plays. All right? You're the head coach. You're the one that's in charge here. Either you do it or you put somebody else in charge as the play caller. If you want to keep Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator, fine. Now, other than that, you can move some pieces around and rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. Kenny Pickett damaged his knee. I don't know how bad that is, whether or not he'll be able to play or not. But before he damaged his knee, he took several large steps back and looked all right against the Raiders, but that was back to being the same guy that Kenny Pickett had been. And statistically, anyway, Houston had a very average defense at the peak of their powers. They were average. Mitch Trubisky is the backup. Good luck on that. We've seen Mitch Trubisky play. It does not go well. Of course, the way Kenny Pickett has played, it couldn't be a downgrade. You would think that would be more of a lateral move than anything else, but no running game for the most part all season. Offensive line issues. It is a Pepto-Bismol commercial waiting to happen there for Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh football team.